so much more, isn't it, than just being innovative in the way that you deliver your teaching. It is very much around understanding what students need and seeing students as, like you said, as individuals, and then seeing them as the bigger collective, and then really reflecting yourself as an educator on what it is that they need to be successful. Because at the end of the day, we're all here for the same reason, aren't we? Whenever we get students on our programme, we want to see them successful. There is no better time than sitting at graduation for me and watching them walk across that stage. You just couldn't be prouder. And actually, how can we enable? So what we want to do is we don't want to disable them from being successful. We don't want to cause them any barriers. How can we lift those barriers for them and really enable them to go off and fly and be amazing in their future careers, whatever that choice might be, whether it's pre-reg or leadership as post-grad or whatever that looks like. And I think this idea of really looking at students and asking them what they want. So I think that was something for me that really resonated. So I can remember when I first spoke to students about one of a number of different things I can think of that I do within my teaching and learning, but the one that stands out really is my looking at the Matilda project and thinking about how I first said to the students, you know, should we go off for a jolly up into town and go and see the theatre production Matilda? And they sort of looked at me wide-eyed and said, but how, Zoe? How could this possibly be teaching and learning? And the moment where we worked on Matilda afterwards in the classroom, when we broke down Matilda's story, when we really looked at Matilda from a safeguarding perspective, and we looked at how dysfunctional her family was, and we put in a care plan for Matilda, and they came out of it the other side saying they'd never felt so passionate. They really wanted to solve everything for Matilda because she'd been brought to life to them on the stage, and they then wanted to develop a really, really robust care plan for her on how we could, you know, get her the best outcomes in life. And they said that they really appreciated that I'd identified in the first place that safeguarding is a really tough topic to teach. It's often emotive, it's challenging content, and to be able to put something like the arts in there alongside safeguarding really made them feel that they had a safe place to really discuss Matilda, because she wasn't real. So if they got it wrong, it didn't matter. And I think I would never have been able to do that if I hadn't have stepped back and looked at my students and thought, what is it that they need? And then asked them, you know, what is it about safeguarding teaching that you find challenging? What is it that's difficult?
There's a whole new language in healthcare that the students have to learn just generally anyway, but they also have to learn the language of being in the university and the languages that we use as well. So there's a lot of learning in that. And I just on the same sort of principles, I remember just doing a piece of work with some students, and I use it as a model where I sort of do a lot of scaffolding and sort of building up on different areas, so that we start by unpicking the language and making it accessible. And I think it's the same thing. It's about this accessibility of information.
When you win the award, you read through all the different people that have written nice things about you and that went in to get you to the interview stage. And one of those was from a third year nursing student from the adult program. And she had said in there that she felt that in my role, I had made her feel that it was possible to do anything. And she felt like she understood what it was that we wanted from her academically, what it was she needed to do professionally, and that actually she felt like qualifying, she was going out there and literally the world was her oyster. And like for us, there is no bigger compliment. I couldn't have a bigger compliment. There is nothing I could achieve in my career bigger than knowing that nurses going out there newly qualified feeling like they can achieve and do anything. And I really do think when you unpick that and you go back to the roots, there is something around this seeing them, really seeing students, seeing them for who they are, what they need. And I heard you say the word accessible, and I think accessible curriculum is really, really important. The day I graduated, and I am an ex-Kingston student, so I did my pre-registration nurse training at Kingston.
Really?
So it does feel like being back at home, actually, in a bizarre way. But the day I walked out, qualified, I said to a friend, I'll be back. And she said, oh, what, to do your master's degree? I said, no, I'll be back as an educator. Wow. And she said, oh gosh, I couldn't think of anything worse, is what my friend said. And I just remembered saying to her, I couldn't think of anything better.
When my son was at school and he couldn't there'd been, the children always making up sort of little clubs, and there was a little football club, and he couldn't join the football club. And I said, "Oh, it's all right, we'll make a club of it, as you do." So we'll make our own club. We made this club, and it was a space club, it was called. And so I had to which I sort of looked back and thought, this is actually teaching, but I hadn't thought about this is what I was doing. So I sort of created a program in which the children, they were about 8 actually, they had I think 20 minutes of playtime, and they had to have this program had to be delivered in 5 minutes. So it was sort of, here's some certificates, here's some homework for you to do, and and then off you go to play. It was one of the parents. We sort of ran it for about 6-7 weeks, and then they actually went off actually to Greenwich Observatory Centre afterwards. The part of the program. And one of the mums came, and she said, "My son doesn't do homework," he said, "but every single week he does Space Club homework." And it was just like, thought, oh, and when I reflect back on it, I thought, well, actually what I was doing was teaching, although I'd never really interpreted it as that. When thinking about education, about people thinking about the skills that they've got and how translatable that is, and how we might not put ourselves under particular umbrellas, but those skills can be translated into so many different things. And not really thinking, actually, as a teacher, you think you have to be the one that knows everything, and actually we're all learning as teachers. We're constantly learning different techniques, different ways of doing things, different material, and it's not something that can't be achieved, I think. So I guess that's I'd say it's an important messaging for anyone. Is actually it's gathering your skills and appreciating how powerful those are.
It's always my goal and always my aim to come back into education, and with really the goal to make the difference for the biggest number of students I possibly could. And I've kept that at the core of everything I've done in my career so far. That's really important, that we do role model that to our students, that actually you need to you'll hear it so often, I can't do this, I can't do that. And it's, no, what can you do? What skills do you have, and what can we turn that into, or how can we springboard off of that to get somewhere a bit further, and just really have that attitude of yes, I can do anything. You just got to put your mind to it, and you've got to know what it is that you're aiming for. And I think that's one of the things I probably love the most of my role at Kingston, is watching that penny drop for students.